So we're going to be recording this. We're going to do this, the pattern we've got, which seems like it works pretty well, is we're going to turn over to Mayor Gerringer, who we'll welcome her to her first coffee. She's got a few updates for all of us to kind of give us to set the table with what's going on, most pressing going on with the city and the city council and Lafayette. Then we will go ahead and we'll do that. And I'm turning over to Jay Liston, the Chamber's executive director, who has a few questions with Teresa, just kind of get the ball rolling, and then we'll turn over to everybody else. We're going to use you could a couple of different ways you can ask questions. We have the raise hand feature, which is under, it has changed, or at least it moves around a lot. Under there's a reactions little button on your toolbar there on the bottom, and you'll see, in addition to hearts and smiley faces and everything, there is a raise hand. So if you have a question, just do the raise hand, and then then you'll be able to ask those in order. We'll kind of call them people one at a time. If you don't feel comfortable with that, you can enter the question in the chat, and then I will ask that question from the chat kind of as we do our regular Q&A. Okay, so without further ado, Madam Mayor, welcome, and it'd be great to hear from you.
Thank you. And thank you all for getting up early. Well, I'm sure many of you have been up for hours, but thank you for being here this morning. And I want to thank the Chamber for inviting me, or actually hosting this opportunity for all of us to get together and to talk about our city, which we all love, and want to make sure that we're doing all the right things to keep it as we love it. I do want to recognize that a couple of my colleagues are on the call here to listen, and I do see that Vice Mayor Anduri and Councilmember Dawson are here as well. So I just want to, in the interest of full disclosure, that we're all here and listening. I do want to thank the Chamber for being such a great partner always, and not just for hosting this event, but for everything that the Chamber does. And we could go around every one of the boxes in our Hollywood squares, and everybody would have something, positive where the Chamber has impacted our lives here in Lafayette. So kudos to the Chamber. Since becoming mayor, people are, well, how is it to be mayor? And, what's going on? What's it like? And sometimes lightly, and maybe I shouldn't be so light, I say, oh, there's nothing to see here, nothing going on. But as all of you know, because many of you are involved in a lot of the work that's going on, there's a lot going on in Lafayette. And there's a lot going on that really requires us to encourage the community to be engaged and to provide input on all of the decisions that are being made. And so I'm not going to go through every one of them. I did try to focus. I'm going to talk for maybe 5 minutes or so. Somebody can start a timer. And then I want to open it up for questions and dialogue. But I do want to just point out a couple of things where you have the opportunity to weigh in. We have the general plan update going on, and I want to give kudos to Matt Pease, and all of the 11 members of the General Plan Advisory Committee. Matt, I know, represents the Chamber. They're about halfway through the housing element, and over the next month, and I serve as liaison, as does Vice Mayor Anduri, but they're circling back to now the Section 3, which is opportunity sites and the RENA numbers, and looking at where we're going to allocate and put 22,000 or so new units of housing, or zone for it in the coming years over the next 8-year cycle. And so I want to just encourage everyone to continue to be involved in that. They're meeting back to 2 times a month, and hope by March 8th, I think, the March 8th meeting, to finalize and turn it over to the Planning Commission. So that's a huge effort going on in the community. And these 11 people have committed to 5 years of this process. And the most difficult part of it, the housing element and RENA and all of that, and the AB 2923 is happening right off the bat. And so, be gentle and nice, but make sure you're getting your opinions to that group. And then also that group has reworked the mission statement. So nothing light going on in Lafayette, lots of heady things happening. We redid our mission statement and vision statement and presented that and guiding characteristics to the council this last week. Of course, the council had, some thoughts on it. And so they're with staff going to bring back the edited version. Again, I want to thank all of the community members first for the input that they've given to the subcommittee over the last year through surveys, and then want to encourage you to continue to stay involved. These are big actions that will impact the community going forward. And we're also working, I'm going to get to the business part I'm leading into, but we also have, as the community, the council has been working with a consultant to look at safety around all of our schools and transportation infrastructure, and also implemented with partnership. I want to say Katie Foreman is here from the Lafayette School District. She's the president of Rapport. And Katie, working with CCTA, has implemented a Street Smarts education program. And so I hope that you can go, if you just Google Lafayette Street Smarts, you can sign a pledge and understand what things we as a community can do to improve safety, not just around our schools, but throughout the whole community. And so in the next, I think April, we'll be getting some recommendations back from our consultant on some short-term, long-term projects, midterm and long-term projects that we can do to improve safety. The first thing we can do is all of us take responsibility and slow down, really stop at our stop signs. And this afternoon in the weekly roundup, Chief Aldred is going to be announcing an enforcement program. And in partnership with some other agencies, and doing some targeted enforcement around different hotspots throughout the community. And so if you have hotspots, you can send a text to us or let them know, but just want to make sure everybody's aware. We all drive and follow the rules all the time, but just in case we're not, there will be increased enforcement coming over the next couple of weeks, and you'll hear about that today in the weekly roundup, which actually, if you're not all on all of our communications, it's a two-way street, right? The chamber's great at getting the word out, but you can go on the Lafayette website and search for notifications, community meetings. We can actually, I should have brought the link and we could put it in chat, but we have the weekly roundup, we have the almost everyday briefing. You can get as much or as little as you want in your inbox at all times, and to know what's going on in the city. So I encourage you to sign up there. So on the council side, thank you. And I want to say Suzanne Erla, our communications person, is here as well. And so she's doing a great job making sure that we're getting the word out. And if you think of other ways that we can do better at communicating, be sure to let us know. So at our first meeting in January, we as a council recommitted to our recommitted to our priorities and goals for the current fiscal year 2021, 2022. And we adopted our final budget at the January meeting. Our priorities this year, and I touched on a couple of them as I was opening up, with our public safety, to examine public safety throughout the community, and particular focus on bike, ped, and transportation safety and around our schools. And we combine those into reducing traffic congestion and improving and enhancing mobility for all modes of transportation. Sometimes those might be in conflict, that safety versus getting you where you want to go faster. So you'll be hearing a lot, and we'll be doing some education around a Vision Zero policy that we adopted at our December meeting. The other priority is wildfire prevention and utility safety. We made a lot of progress last year, and a number of neighborhoods have become firewise. And I actually became kind of aware of any tree brown in the hills, and we have fewer of them this year than we did last year. And so I want to say kudos to the community for taking our part in being responsible for our vegetation management and personal defensible spaces. And then the part you've all been waiting for, our priority of creating a vibrant downtown and supporting our business community. And so that continues to be a priority for the council. And to that end, at that same meeting where we recommitted, committed some more money from the ARPA, the American Rescue Plan Act, to enhancing and working with our small businesses and the chamber. And so I want to give a shout out to Vice Mayor Andori and Councilmember Dawson. They've been the subcommittee, and Thomas Moore, our economic development officer, and our consultants have been working since the program was introduced to allocate ARPA funds to a variety of different, including backfilling or replacing funds that revenue that the city lost, and then also looking at ways using a set number of criteria to help respond to the COVID impacts. And so if I did my math right, I'm sure that Carl or Gina will put it in the chat, but the city committed approximately $825,000 to this Create a Vibrant Downtown and Support Business, support small businesses. So money to the Lafayette Chamber of Commerce. We're continuing to engage Townsend to help our lobbyist and advocate to help connect the small businesses with the dollars at the state and federal level. We also at that meeting added money for business district marketing and small business technical assistance. We had already approved money for a gift card pilot program, and then continuing the outdoor dining that has become, I think, mostly overall popular according to the survey results and the input that people have provided. And so looking at ways to enhance that and to continue that going forward. And then a business district shopping shuttle program, pilot program. So lots of examples of where the city and the chamber are partnering to make sure that our community stays vibrant and that we shop local. So with that, I know that there are lots of other things going on, but I think those kind of hit the highlights. And somebody will point out if I missed something or something that's important to you. I, as mayor, and then the whole council want to know what's going on. I would be remiss without saying that another part of the vibrant downtown and another part that the city council did commit funds to the Park Theater Trust. And I see a couple of the leaders of that effort here. And so I want to say we did commit money, and that now the Park Theater is owned by local citizens, owned by the local residents and the Park Theater Trust, and they have a commercial, and they can talk about it later. But anyway, if that particular piece and that particular asset or treasure connected with everything else we have going on in the downtown should really go a long way, and will go a long way to creating that and maintaining that vibrant downtown. So with that, I will take a breath, and I look forward to questions.
Great. Thank you very much, Mayor. So for those of you that join, I know we get a couple people that join in late. So the way we're going to do it, like we do before, I'm going to have Jay listen, our executive directors, ask a few questions to kick us off. If you have a question, please raise your hand using the Zoom function, which is under the reactions little button. It moves around, so it's no worries, but you'll see under reactions, you can hit the raise hand feature. I also want, and then we're going to, so we're going to basically, Jay's ask a few questions, and we're going to turn over to all of you to ask questions. Also, if you don't feel comfortable or don't want to do it via video audio, you can type the questions in the chat, and we will kind of intersperse the chat questions with live questions. I also do want to direct you to the chat. Holly, who we'll hear from at the very end, Holly Sonne, does an amazing job. It's like magical how she will put in supporting links to everything that everybody's talking about during the during the Q&A. So it's worth it's definitely worth keeping the chat up through all of this. But great. So without Jay, let me turn it over to you for a few questions, and then we'll get to everybody else.
John, thank you. And thank you, Holly, for putting this all together. And I just wanted to draw your attention to one of the Hollywood squares, and that's Fred Steingraff, who's on, and he's our president of the Chamber Board this year. So please say hi to Fred, and feel free to call on him anytime. We got to get him up and running, and let's go. So Teresa, great stuff that you talked about. Great segue for my first question for you, and that is the City Council recently voted to implement Vision Zero. And can you tell us a little bit about this program and how it will influence some of the decisions on downtown housing development and preparing the next general plan?
Excuse me. So Vision Zero. So in December, the City Council adopted a policy, a Vision Zero policy. And basically, Vision Zero is a sort of a mindset, a philosophy that prioritizes safety for all modes of transportation, but particularly it would bike ped safety over getting there faster. And so in just a very simple term, I mean, a very simple, probably overly simplistic, it's a change in priority. And so some of the, and we're going to have some workshops coming up over what Vision Zero is, and really importantly, what it isn't. Yesterday, we had a community gathering around traffic, and it became clear that we need to, be better at communicating what that is. So our next steps for Vision Zero will be to hire a consultant. All cities develop local road safety plans, and we received a grant to do that. And our local road safety plan, with the implementation or the passing of the Vision Zero ordinance, will guide that work for the local road safety plan. And as part of that, there will be a lot of community opportunities for community input. There'll be a task force of stakeholders, all community members, residents, but also high level, the police department, the schools, all of the entities, fire, safety, all of the entities involved in making sure that we're safe in our community. And so those conversations will happen and a plan will be developed. And throughout that, the community is encouraged to stay engaged. So some of the examples of Vision Zero solutions we've already started to implement in different parts of the community. We have the pilot program going on in Burton Valley with additional speed humps, making sure that the people are slowing down. We're looking at reducing speed limits around the community, starting around the schools, but looking at some of those hot spots where maybe having that reduction will help people to slow down, to really be aware of it. We also, there was a new law that was passed, and so cities can actually work more streamlined to be able to adjust speed limits to what is actually necessary for the safety of the conditions in that area. So we're still in the early stages of what all of these will look like. Some of it is also moving parking off of one side, maybe not having it, looking at reducing lanes. And so as we go forward and have the consultant come in and develop the plan, we will keeping Vision Zero and the philosophy of safety first in the lens, or looking at it through that lens. And we will be having a workshop to really, let people dig into what these are.
Thank you. Have any infrastructure projects been identified as a potential use of the ARPA money? And can it be used for that?
There just was the new final rule, and I'm going to say that I am not completely up to date, but there is a little bit more flexibility in. When we first did the survey, we thought we had more flexibility, then it got narrowed to, what the eligible projects were. And then now there is a little bit better definition for cities on how we can use the dollars to replace revenue. And so we have not, I don't believe, identified current projects, but I look forward to seeing how we can use that with the money that's unallocated in the first tranche, and then as we go into the second tranche.
Okay. Another question for you, and that is,
Go
ahead. I'm sorry.
Jay. Oh, no, if I could just add, though, we did also receive a settlement in the Palos Colorados lawsuit, and we have allocated or put into a sinking fund, if you will, dollars to help implement traffic safety and Vision Zero projects as we go forward. So we do have dollars that we've set over, not specifically related to the ARPA dollars.
And that was a little bit over $2 million, correct?
Correct. And we didn't allocate the whole amount, but we did move money over for staff and engineering and for projects.
So you've spent years on the school board. You've been working with county and state legislators, and you've been on the city council for a while. Any insight onto how those jobs and your profession and the working as a political strategist prepared you for this job?
I think the number one thing would be that to listen. And maybe we would have gotten that, I would have gotten that somewhere else along the way, but that in almost all of the roles that I've been in, it's as a volunteer, as a public community, a public staffer, is that we represent the people, the residents. And so it's really about listening and then taking all that information and trying to solve problems. And so I would say that's the key to it, and that public outreach and engagement is critical. So,
wow, listening! What a great idea! Yes, John, I'll turn it back to you.
All right, Jay, thank you. Great questions, and Mayor, it's great answers. The first person we have raising their hand, and we do need a few more questions out there. So you put your thinking caps on, everybody. Is Larry Blodgett, who's got a question for the mayor.
Good morning. Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning, Mr.
I don't think I've ever addressed you as mayor before. I've addressed you as many things, but not mayor. Positive. We're good friends.
We've known each other for a long time. Yeah, actually,
I have a couple
that about a
questions.
lot of people on here.
Couple questions for you, Teresa. Regarding the Colorado settlement, you said some of the money is being earmarked towards traffic safety measures. Would that be specifically used for the Moraga Road safety issues? Because that's where that project is feeding out of, I believe.
So we had some discussion about that. We did put on hold the Moraga Road capital improvements to begin this local road safety plan and make sure where we're allocating all those dollars. And my understanding is that, yes, there will be some of it, but that we do have flexibility in having it be community-wide.
Okay, and the second question I have for you regarding the ARPA funds. I think it's fabulous that the council both agreed to give some money to the chamber to help struggling business downtown, and also East End and West End businesses, I might add, and also the Park Theater Trust. My understanding is there's restrictions. What kinds of restrictions are there to those funds, to those two organizations?
So actually, as it turns out, the Park Theater Trust dollars actually came out of city council reserves because we couldn't under ARPA give those, but in the kind of more in the, not in the weeds, but in the adjustments I was referring to in the final ruling on filling the city council's revenue losses, the city's revenue losses, not our revenue losses, that those we can put that money back. It was 500,000 back into the general fund or into the reserves. And so, and then in terms of other restrictions, we're specifically with the Park Theater Trust, and I don't have it in front of me, but there was an MOU about timing and things like that and when it has to take place. And then what was the other restrictions on the other monies?
Yeah, as far as the chamber and so forth.
So I don't recall that there being specific restrictions, and I would have to go back. I'm sure that there were in terms of where it had to go. I know that we also gave money to the Lafayette Community Foundation as a nonprofit who works with many nonprofits across the community to make sure that individuals and households and residents, specific resident population, are also being served and getting the resources that they need. And that another MOU was developed with that. I don't recall, and Jay may know, but if we also had an MOU with the chamber on that.
And again, also, thank you for to you and the council for also allotting funds to Lafayette Community Foundation, which is an organization that I've worked with and am going to continue to work with. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Cheryl is next, but before that, I do want to, Dave Clark asked a question via chat, which I think is interesting. I don't know if you have any commentary on this one, which is basically, it does seem like, I mean, to synthesize, between the arena allocations and emergency ordinance, it seems like Lafayette's doing pretty well relative to Orinda and Moraga. I mean, maybe it's just our own perception because you guys do a good job communicating and seem on top of things. Does that ring true to you? And do you think that presents any opportunities or problems for us if our kind of sister cities are not where we are as far as moving things along?
Anecdotally, I think that might ring true. I know that Moraga and Orinda are not as far along, and not because of anything about their governance system in allocating the ARPA funds. I know that we're very far along, but they're doing their housing element. It might be that we're all hearing more, and I know, David Clark, that you're following a lot of different agencies around the county, and so you probably are more up to speed on exactly what section of the housing element that they're on. But I know that our groups, our volunteer GPAC and others, and our staff are doing a great job at making sure we're moving forward and ready to meet our deadlines. One thing, and back to Larry's question on the Moraga Road, and that we are also this year regionally and as a community redeveloping the La Miranda Action Plan, which actually all of these transportation opportunities, planning deadlines are actually going to provide us opportunities to partner. And so in March, we're having our Tri-Cities meeting with Moraga and Orinda, and then the primary focus will be about our local area action plan. So I just want to say kudos to everyone who's making sure we're moving forward quickly. And I don't know that that where we are relative to Orinda and Moraga presents additional problems. We'll continue to partner with them on transportation and trying to find those solutions as well. Hopefully that works, David. I like David's other question too that I saw.
Oh, I know. I didn't want to bypass that one. I thought you answered that one a little bit, so I wanted to get to everybody else.
We can do that at the end if there's time.
Definitely. Great. Cheryl, you are next. Cheryl McDonald.
Good morning, Cheryl.
I'm used to the council. I have to go through the wormhole.
Yeah. And no, but you're here.
I know this is a real. So I had a question regarding, this is kind of for the chamber and for you, Mayor. When it comes to communicating with the small business with ARPA funds, how can we communicate really well with the chamber members, which obviously can happen through the chamber, but the non-chamber members in the business district, so that they also have equal opportunity as the chamber wishes to be part of this whole getting help. And then my other question is regards to, I heard like late last year, I think Mike Moran went to the city council meeting where he was talking about the TAR, the Transportation Action Request, would go through the council. And if that is still going through the council, do we just make a request? I guess the first question is it still going through the council or is it going through Transorg? And if it's going through you, can we make a request for flags on Mount Dell Boulevard at 2 intersections, one being by Leslie Pools and one at Hampton, so that we can get safety if we're going across Mount Diablo, which in the future will be for, as housing development grows, will be probably routes to school as well. So those are my two questions. Thank you.
So Cheryl, my understanding is that the transportation action requests, that you still do those online, and that Mike has them and has a queue. He actually touched on this yesterday. And so I don't believe there's been a change in the process. I know that that there are a lot of requests on there. And then they do go through at each of the transportation circulation meetings, commission meetings, they go there.
Okay.
And I can't think specifically, and yeah, so it would be the same process. So I would encourage you, and I'm sorry, I don't have that link. I'm going to come with links next time to the transportation action request form, but I'm sure you know how to find it, and I'll connect with you after.
All right, thank you. And then the communicating with the small businesses
yes,
that are not
actually,
chamber members.
So Thomas Moore, our economic development person who's been working with the ARPA committee, thank you, Suzanne. She just put the link, Cheryl, in the and for everyone else, if you see something where you think we need to make a change, you can do a transportation action request. Anyway, Thomas, in addition to working with the chamber on the ARPA funds, has also, and I don't currently know the status, but was working on a database of all the businesses in Lafayette. And because, we don't oversee when the business is open and all of that, it hasn't always been easy. And so Thomas has been doing a great job at making sure that we're collecting and know all of the small businesses. And I want to thank you again, Cheryl, for bringing that up. I know that you brought it to our attention at the ARPA meeting, and I will circle back. I don't know if the chamber has another comment on that, but I know the city is.
I'm assuming, Jay, you want to bring,
Yeah, Cheryl, I think I can help answer that, and certainly Gina and Carl are on the call too. They might want to say something, but the ARPA money that is being allocated for helping the businesses downtown is really coming in sort of a couple of different directions. And so there is money that's earmarked for some lost revenue, but a lot of the money is also earmarked to help not just chamber members, but every business in Lafayette. So there is a delineation between the two, and a lot of the programs that are being thought about at this time are really for all businesses. And by the way, in talking to Thomas just the other day, he would love to hear from the community and small businesses. And I think as we were talking, we realized that we hadn't done we've been great about questionnaires and surveys and getting our messages out. But I think the message that we missed was Thomas is here to hear from the community, so that he would love to hear from you. Thanks.
Thank you, Jay.
Great point, Jay.
Gina,
Excellent.
did you want to say something?
Well, you're spot on, Jay. Thank you so much. And just want to say, Chamber has operated as kind of the economic development and support arm for the city for so long, which is why it was so important to us to make sure that we helped make that chamber whole, you guys whole. And for sure, with the allocation towards chamber and towards the business recovery programs and technical support, that is definitely something that we will be working with the chamber on, communicating towards the whole business community. And Thomas Myers is definitely key to that. He's out in the street literally, so would be very glad to meet up and get your ideas, because that's something we are working with the chamber too, those ideas to better communicate so that business people out there know how they can assess the support we're trying to get them. So thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
Thank you to all you guys are doing, everybody. Thank you on this.
Thank you, Cheryl. Cheryl comes to almost every meeting of every commission and every organization. And that's what we need, and the input that we need to make the best decisions. And I want to thank Suzanne, who's keeping up with all the links. She also put in Thomas Myers' email address and his phone number.
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Suzanne. Next, we have Sarah. You have a question for the mayor?
Yes, so I just wanted to say good morning and then thank you so much for having these meetings and for the actions that you're taking. The council's been really great and the city about taking actions for safety for the people walking and biking to the schools. And my questions are about like enforcement just around School Street. I noticed that there are certain areas like there's the fire hydrant area right before Paradise Court's crosswalk that has a red zone, but it doesn't get enforced. And so I'm wondering who to contact for talking more to that person about why we see the need for the enforcement of that particular spot. And then we also really appreciate the cones. They've made such a difference in my boys and I as we walk back and forth to school. And we're wondering about extending the orange cones so that they go all the way and where there would be no parking until Paradise Court. And I think you had said something about that already, is like possibly removing maybe a side of the street, but just to Paradise Court would be really great to have that entrance for all the bicyclists and the pedestrians who would then have a full path rather than having cars come into those 2 parking spaces that currently go at the very end right before Paradise Court. And there's no enforcement either of the no parkings on going toward Topper Street. And so I wanted to find out who, these might all fall under the same person, and I'm trying to figure out who to contact and who to make aware of our walk as we go back and forth, because we and some other students are leaving out the side of Stanley Middle School. We're coming across, and this would be Lafayette Elementary as well, who might use these paths, but we're coming across toward more down by the old tennis courts and crossing down there, because I had actually called the police to say, can we do that? Is that legal? Because we're not using a crosswalk. And we got the yes to that. But because there's no enforcement of the no parking that's right there as you would cross to the trailhead, we are having trouble crossing the street. And so because cars are parked there, we can't have a clear view of the cars coming in both directions. So mainly enforcement and then extension of the orange cones to not have that piece towards Paradise Court is what I'm looking to find out more about. That's about it. Thank you.
Great. No, great. Thank you, Sarah. And thank you for, I know you've been providing input, and just for everyone else, the consultants went to every school site and then did review, basically an analysis, site visits at the beginning of school, drop off and then pick up at the end of school. And the cones that Sarah's referring to were one of the outcomes of one of those visits. So all of those types of things in terms of adding pieces are similar to that transportation action request. In a normal process, you would do the link to the, you would complete one of those forms and do that. And I know that the cones were picked up during the consultant visits. On enforcement, I think you sent, anyway, Chief Aldrich, anytime we receive council communications, the city manager and the chief are CC'd on those, or we send them to them. And again, this afternoon in the weekly roundup, the Chief Aldrich will be talking about an enhanced enforcement effort. 3 E's, a little alliterative there, but that will be happening. I will make sure that he's aware of the issues that you talked about around Stanley School. But I know that and I want you to know that when you communicate with the council, we're also communicating with the chief on those. And I don't have a specific name of someone right now who you would communicate those to, and so I'll get that and get back to you.
And the city manager, is that Narup or is that somebody else?
Narup.
And
Just
a big thank you for the cones, for the consultant or whoever put those in, and then to Richard. Mike Moran, was it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make sure.
Our Public Works Director.
I sent him a thank you for that one too. It's made so much easier our walk back and forth, along with those parking stops that went in front of the district office. And those were 2 of my 3 hot spots, and it really has made a difference for our walk. So thank you guys so much.
No, and thank you again for providing photos and your experience, because that's what we need to know to factor in on how to solve these. So thank you, Sarah.
Great. Thank you, Sarah. And I have to echo that Mike Moran's a rock star. So he's
Yep.
definitely going to.
We have an amazing staff. So just,
good.
I probably can't say that enough. And I saw Don Tatson on here. As Don Tatson said, you know, the staff is really the key to getting everything done. We are just the sort of out there, and they make us look good. So.
That is the goal. Yeah. Larry, I think you have a second question, I guess, or a third question perhaps for the mayor. Then we'll go to Tracy. Yes, Larry? Maybe not. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and go to Tracy, and we'll go back to Larry. Got it. All right, Tracy.
Good morning, Mayor,
Hi.
and thank you so much to the Chamber for hosting this. We always, I always enjoy learning so much and seeing everybody's face, particularly these days. But I'm with the Park Theater Trust, and I have several fellow board members with me, Jana Corey, and apparently Kathy Bowles is on, although she says she's having a bad hair day, and so we're, you know, she's just staying on, you know, mute and non-video. But anyway, first of all, I wanted to thank, I don't really have any specific questions, but I do have so many thank yous, and to City Council in particular for their incredible assistance there as we came down to the wire on closing on the Park Theater. It was just extraordinary. And I want to encourage everyone out there, you know, whether, as Jay said, whether you're chamber members or not, to really reach out to Thomas. We started in that way, and it was an incredibly positive experience. I mean, talk about good listening and good direction. The support we had from Thomas and from the city in general, and then specifically down the line there to the council was just really, really extraordinary. So yes, we now own the Park Theater for the community. It's protected, and I don't know if you had the opportunity to go by, but the La Marinda, the Sunrise Rotary of La Marinda, came out with their power washers, and you talk about the Rockettes and their, you know, uniform leg kicks. These guys were amazing with the power washers. There were a couple of kids out there. The children of the current president were there. And anyway, we're starting to try to, you know, just kind of tidy the old girl up to make it look a little more presentable, as she should be, as she takes her rightful place there in the heart of the business district. We also have the tremendous alignment now, an alliance, an operator with Cinema SF, and that too was, it takes a village. I mean, Jay Lifson, Nirup Shivatsa, and Dennis Markham, who has been with our task force and all along since 2018, an integral part of this operator selection. They are very community focused. Their passion is historic theaters and community. And they were out there with Sunrise Rotary, pushing the broom and cleaning up as well. So no questions, really, just lots of thank yous. We're initiating even, you know, we're really pushing now for the $5 million rehab budget that we have. We had our first meeting with our construction group, which is Bally, and they are going to be great as far as keeping us on track and moving forward. And we look forward to working more with the chamber going forward, and all of the chamber members and all of the local businesses and nonprofits as we really try to open by holiday of 2023. So thank you so much, everybody. It's just been phenomenal. So thank you.
Well, I think that we could do it. You would see a standing ovation and a big round of applause for the Park Theater Trust if we were in person. And so I love it takes a village. I saw the pictures of the Rotary, Sunrise Rotary folks out there, you know, sprucing up the Park Theater, and just everybody working together, and that plug for continued fundraising. And so I know that you guys are going to achieve all your goals. You've done an amazing job already. So thank you.
Well, thank you, really. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tracy. Do we have any other questions? Tracy, doing a great job. Oh yes, I'm sorry, Dennis Erican. You know, I'm sorry, I forgot you actually asked me. So sorry, Dennis Erican, you have a question. Apologize. Oh, you have to unmute though.
Oh,
Oh, well, I'm gonna.
we're on.
Yep, you're muted again. If you can just.
Well, he's.
There you go. Perfect.
Okay, I'm sorry. I
Not
couldn't
a
hear
problem.
me.
Nope. Now we can though.
And I'm
Okay.
sure it was really eloquent.
It was. So I'll start over again. Madam Mayor, congratulations on what you've got set up to do. But my question is, what is the one thing that you think might be the one that interests you the most to achieve or to to deal with?
So can I, be the politician and say they're all important, Dennis? I want all of
Yes,
them
I knew
to
that.
be. I want them all to be achieved. They are all important, first of all, but I do the transportation and the safety around the schools and, what we can do this year to continue to move some of these initiatives forward is very important. Another thing that I didn't touch on this list, but working with the Lafayette Community Foundation, which in the interest of full disclosure, I've been on the Lafayette Community Foundation for 20 years or something when it was formed and working on the library. But working with the Community Foundation and the Chamber, thank goodness Jay Lifson still answers the phone when he sees that, my name is on there. But we're going to put in place a community day on June 4th, which will basically you've seen it in other communities where we bring the community get together to do volunteer projects. And so if various groups have projects that you would love to get a group of people to do, we'll bring together those who are already doing that kind of work, the social clubs, Rotary, other groups throughout the community who are already working to pick up trash or beautify. I see Dennis Markham is right in the middle of my screen. I'm hoping that we can get a crew together to do any of the kind of work that might need to be done at Town Hall Theater, because Town Hall Theater company now owns the building. And so I'm sure there's some work that will need to be done there. Lots of applause, Dennis. So we're going to have this community day, but we're also looking at having something either in the Plaza Park, depending on how big we think it might get, to bring together nonprofits and also figure out a way to do something to incorporate the small businesses, but not asking you to do something. So we're actually having a meeting right after this to look at some ways on how to do that. And so to make it a reconnection, a Lafayette together, because we've all, and hopefully by June 4th, we may be able to even not have masks on and be able to see all of our smiling faces. And so that's one of the things I'm really looking forward to. And then so actually diversity, equity, and inclusion, I didn't touch on that. We're still very much engaged in that work, and we're hoping it'll be a part of the community day as well. So lots of things, Dennis, going on, and some things that didn't get on this list, but working with our schools and on mental health and wellness in the schools for me personally is also a priority, but not necessarily in our in where the city overlaps on that. So thanks for asking.
Thank you for that great answer.
That's good. And plus we have other coffees throughout the year, Mayor, so you
Yeah.
have opportunities to give updates. I have a final, final question that we're going to take from Richard Grange through text, and then I want Holly will wrap up with what's going on, some other events from the chamber. But I'll just read it from Richard Grange. Hi, Mayor. How can a community nonprofit like Lion Center for the Visually Impaired let more Lafayette residents know about our free services for seniors? Which is a good issue.
That is a good question. And hopefully, again, so this is going to sound like, is Cheryl Noel on? Because, we should get credit for mentioning the Community Foundation. Cheryl and Mary are the chairs. But the Lafayette Community Foundation has a senior symposium and also, works to do those, to do communications around that. So Richard, if you if we can connect after, we can look at some ways. And then also if there are events and things like that, the city's communications in our different weekly roundup and things like that do highlight some of the work that nonprofits are doing, but definitely connecting you, I think, with the Community Foundation will also be a good connection. But thank you very much for the services that you're providing, and our Lafayette Senior Services group, office and commission. I should put you in connection with them as well.
I think Jay may have another
Yeah,
idea.
and Richard, another way that you can get your messages out is by emailing Holly at our, maybe Holly, you can put your email in the chat. In fact, yesterday, Holly just sent out our month's issue of a nonprofit email blast newsletter. So, and then also feel free to connect with Suzanne at the city as well, and she can get that into one of her publications as well.
Terrific.
Okay, thank you for those helpful hints. I appreciate that.
And thank you for asking.
Great, yeah, and all that you do, we really do appreciate that.
Yeah.
Let me turn it over to Holly then, I think, to wrap us up, to give us what's going on with the chamber.
Absolutely. So I finished my coffee. So what I'm going to suggest is, if you're not so concerned about how your hair looks or your morning attire, turn your video on and say hi to the people in the squares. I mean, look at this great group of people. We have our chamber board, we have chamber ambassadors, we have a huge group of nonprofits, our small business owners. I mean, this is just amazing. Hi, it's so great to see you. Teresa, I told you we'd have so many friends. She was worried about presenting, and I said, look, these are going to be your friends that are right here. We're just sitting down and having coffee. So thank you for joining us. And yeah, nice to see you all. My name is Holly Sonne. I am the Communications Director at the Lafayette Chamber. I would like to take this moment to thank John McCormick for hosting and emceeing today's coffee. We greatly appreciate it. If you did not already hear, John has been selected as our Lafayette Business Person of the Year. Yay. We are so grateful for all John has accomplished through the Chamber, through our nonprofits, how he's supported the city and our fellow business owners. Congratulations, John. Another one of our favorite announcements to make is our Citizen of the Year. We are now taking nominations through Friday, February 11th at noon. So if you have someone you would like to nominate for Lafayette Citizen of the Year, you can fill out the form online. We are all here at the Chamber to answer any questions you have. Feel free to reach out to any of us. We do hope to celebrate the Business Person of the Year and the Citizen of the Year in person. So let's all stay safe and stay tuned so that we can celebrate later this year.
And John, sorry we had to cancel tonight's State of the City and the Business Person of the Year dinner and postpone it till a time when it's safe, but we would have given you this today, but we'll have to wait until then.
Yes, well, it'll come in the future, I'm sure. I know I have confidence that we'll hopefully have a great, a safe spring and summer. So let's keep our fingers crossed on that.
Thank you, Mayor Teresa, for your time, your enthusiasm, and your information this morning. This was a fantastic.
You want to talk about the ribbon cutting tonight?
Oh, yeah.
We will see Mayor Teresa again for the State of the City address. So stay posted for the link and the information through the city correspondence for the State of the City address, which will happen on Thursday, February 10th at 6 p.m. Our next coffee with the mayor is scheduled for Friday, March 25th, same time, 8 a.m. with your coffee online. Look for a registration link through the chambers as well as the city's correspondence. We are excited and anticipating to bring back our events to the community. We actually welcome you to join us for an in-person ribbon cutting tonight, what Jay's been referring to. We will be at Worley Real Estate and Development for ribbon cutting. We will cut the ribbon exactly at 5:30. You're welcome to join us starting at 5 p.m. Worley Real Estate and Development is located at 1010 Oak Hill Road. We will also have a ribbon cutting for a brand new chamber member called Lilikoi Boba on Saturday, February 12th at noon. Lilikoi is a Hawaiian style boba milk tea shop that's located across Mount Diablo Boulevard from the library. So they just recently opened, and we encourage you to check them out. Our Tuesday Talk series continues this next Tuesday at noon with Coach Holly Jean Jackson's book launch party. And the following Tuesday at noon, we will have chamber member De La Hussein Law Group with a review of the 2022 labor laws. So you can register for both of those. They're both online through our chamber correspondence. We know you love our signature events, and so do we. We are currently planning for all our events this year, from Earth Day, Taste of Lafayette, Rock the Plaza, Sidewalk Sale, and of course our fall events, including Art and Wine, Reservoir Run, Trick or Treat, Thanksgiving breakfast, and It's a Wonderful Life. So please stay safe out there, and we really hope to see you soon. Feel free to reach out. Anything further to add, Jay?
That was great.
Yeah, I'm
Thank you,
exhausted just
Teresa.
hearing about all this stuff. Alan. That's great.
Thank you all. Thanks
All right.
for
everybody
joining
Mayor,
us.
coming.
thank you very much. We'll see you on March 25th, if not sooner. Bye-bye.
Hopefully sooner.
Hopefully
Thank you.
sooner. All right, bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.